Imagine winning every battle, yet somehow losing the war. That is the strange paradox of modern professional success. You were told excellence would unlock every door. Instead, it locked you inside a room without windows. The reward for competence is never freedom. The reward for competence is more responsibility. And responsibility is rarely the same as power. Power is choice, but competence removes your choices. When you are reliable, you become irreplaceable. And when you are irreplaceable, you cannot be promoted. Organizations do not reward what they depend on. They protect it from moving at all costs. Your skill becomes infrastructure, not leadership potential. You stop being seen as a person. You become a function within a larger machine. Machines do not get promoted. They are maintained, repaired, and kept exactly where needed. This is the competence trap, and it begins the moment you outperform everyone around you. Excellence creates expectation. Expectation creates dependency. Dependency removes your leverage. Without leverage, you have no negotiation power. You are too valuable exactly where you are. So valuable that moving you becomes too risky. Promotions are often given to those who can be spared, not necessarily to those who perform the best. Hard work does not equal upward mobility. Sometimes it equals deeper entrenchment. The more competent you are, the heavier the load becomes. People bring you their unfinished work. Managers bring you their unmade decisions. Teams bring you their crises. You extinguish them all without complaint. And every success raises the standard again. What was exceptional becomes expected. What was praised becomes assumed. What was optional becomes mandatory. This is how burnout begins quietly. Not with failure, but with endless success. You begin waking up already feeling behind schedule. Your mind starts racing before your feet touch the floor. Even silence feels like unfinished work waiting nearby. Rest becomes something you must earn through exhaustion. And exhaustion becomes your new baseline for normal. You stop noticing how tired you truly are, because everyone else calls you strong. Strength becomes the mask you never remove. Underneath, doubt quietly multiplies. You wonder how long you can sustain this pace. But slowing down feels like betrayal. If you stop, everything might collapse. That belief keeps you locked in motion. Organizations reward those who reduce uncertainty. You reduce uncertainty better than anyone else. So they give you more uncertainty to absorb. Managers optimize for stability, not fairness. Stability means keeping the strongest piece exactly where it works. Your competence lowers their personal risk exposure, and risk reduction is rewarded more than raw performance. This is why mediocre performers sometimes rise faster. They are easier to move without breaking systems. You, however, are deeply embedded. Removing you would halt operations entirely. So they never attempt to move you upward. They simply widen your current responsibilities. Each success expands your invisible job description until you cannot remember what you originally signed up for. Your role evolves faster than your title ever will. Titles change slowly. Expectations change overnight. Slowly, your identity fuses with your output. You stop asking who you are without performance. Days blur into measurable productivity blocks. Even weekends feel like delayed obligations. Your phone resting nearby feels heavier than usual. You anticipate problems before they actually exist. Hyper-responsibility rewires your nervous system completely. You cannot relax because vigilance became survival. Small mistakes feel catastrophic now because you are the last line of defense. Meanwhile, others operate with comfortable margins of error. Their mistakes become learning opportunities. Yours become warnings about declining standards. The higher you climb, the narrower the margin becomes. Pressure intensifies in quiet, invisible ways. You feel it in your shoulders first, then in your sleep, which becomes fragmented and shallow. Dreams revolve around unfinished tasks and missed deadlines. Morning arrives before restoration ever does. This cycle repeats with mechanical precision. Over time, resentment begins to form quietly, not toward others, but toward the system itself. You realize the rules were never clearly stated. You simply followed what seemed logical. Work hard, solve problems, outperform everyone. Those rules felt fair at the beginning. But fairness was never the true operating principle. Efficiency was the true priority all along. And you were the most efficient component available. Efficiency does not promote itself upward. This pattern is older than modern corporations. It echoes through mythology and ancient labor stories. Consider Atlas, condemned to hold up the heavens. His strength became the reason for eternal punishment. No one stronger existed to replace him. His competence locked him into endless responsibility. Then there was Sisyphus, pushing his stone forever. Effort without elevation, motion without progress. Modern professionals live similar myths daily. The mountain simply changed shape. During the Industrial Revolution, specialization intensified this trap. Workers became interchangeable parts within vast systems. But the most skilled operators were never moved. Their precision anchored entire production lines. Replaceable parts could rise, irreplaceable ones stayed. This logic still operates beneath polished corporate language. Words like leadership often mask risk calculations. Behind every promotion is a stability assessment. Can this person be removed without collapse? If the answer is no, they remain exactly there. The myth of meritocracy simplifies a complex reality. It promises linear reward for linear effort. But organizations are nonlinear systems. They optimize for continuity, not individual ambition. Your ambition is secondary to operational stability. Stability rewards predictability above brilliance. Predictable employees create comfortable managers. Comfortable managers rarely disrupt functioning structures. Disruption carries career risk at higher levels. So they move pieces that cause minimal shock. The most competent piece creates maximum shock. Removing it destabilizes surrounding layers instantly. Therefore, it remains firmly in place. This is rarely intentional cruelty. It is unconscious system preservation. Systems prioritize survival above fairness or inspiration. You became essential to survival. Essential roles are rarely liberated voluntarily. They are protected, reinforced, and quietly contained. And the occupant slowly forgets the open sky. The first sign is subtle emotional numbness. Victories feel smaller than they used to. Praise lands, but never truly penetrates. You nod, smile, and return to work. The second sign is constant mental preoccupation. Even conversations become background noise to internal calculations. You are physically present, but cognitively elsewhere. The third sign is shrinking social bandwidth. You protect your energy like scarce currency. Every interaction feels like a withdrawal. The fourth sign is hypercontrol over small details. You compensate for systemic chaos personally. Micromanagement feels safer than delegation. Trust feels like unnecessary exposure. The fifth sign is plateau without recognition. Your output increases, but visibility remains unchanged. You feel stuck despite constant motion. Movement without progression breeds quiet despair. The sixth sign is hidden resentment. Not at people, but at invisible constraints. You begin questioning earlier career decisions. Paths not taken feel increasingly luminous. Yet change feels disproportionately risky now. Irresponsibility has grown too large to abandon lightly. Financial commitments anchor your mobility. Reputation adds invisible weight to every move. Others depend on the version of you they know. Changing that version threatens collective expectations. So you maintain consistency at personal expense. Burnout rarely explodes. It erodes quietly. Energy drains in increments too small to notice. Motivation shifts from inspiration to obligation. Curiosity is replaced by procedural repetition. Creativity narrows into efficient execution only. You become excellent at something you secretly resent. Mastery, without meaning, becomes psychological friction. Friction accumulates beneath professional composure. Eventually, something must give way. Either the system adjusts, or you do. Most systems resist adjustment instinctively. Many competent people wait for recognition to arrive naturally. They believe consistency will eventually be noticed. But consistency quickly becomes background noise. Reliability fades into assumed permanence. You become part of the scenery. The phrase, "just one more year," becomes dangerous. You tell yourself the next cycle will be different. The next project will finally prove readiness. The next success will unlock the door. Yet doors rarely unlock from effort alone. They unlock from leverage and positioning. Leverage requires being movable, not immovable. Immovable pieces are preserved, not elevated. So the solution begins with controlled reduction. Not quitting, but recalibrating visible output. Strategic underextension restores personal capacity. You stop volunteering for invisible labor. You allow small fires to burn without intervention. Discomfort is allowed to surface temporarily. This reveals how resilient the system actually is. Often, collapse was exaggerated in your imagination. Systems adapt faster than you were told. When you step back, others step forward. Competence spreads when not monopolized. Delegation is not weakness, it is design. Boundaries signal self-respect to surrounding systems. Saying no introduces productive friction. Friction forces recalibration on both sides. Initially, resistance may increase, but consistency in boundaries builds new expectations. Your value shifts from output to judgment. Judgment scales, output does not. Leaders influence direction, not every task. To transition upward, you must release downward control. Control feels safe, but safety prevents growth. Growth requires tolerating temporary inefficiency. Others will stumble where you once excelled. That is how collective strength develops. You shift from pillar to architect. Architects design systems that survive without them. The final shift is internal, not structural. You must redefine what success truly means. Success is not maximum output over time. It is sustainable influence over direction. Output exhausts. Influence compounds quietly. Productivity measures effort, not autonomy. Autonomy measures how freely you can choose. The competent often confuse praise with power. Praise feels rewarding, but changes nothing structural. Power changes what you are required to do. Real power reduces unnecessary obligation. It increases optionality in uncertain environments. Optionality restores psychological flexibility. Flexibility protects against sudden systemic shocks. You no longer aim to be indispensable. You aim to be transferable instead. Transferable skills move with you across contexts. Contexts change faster than loyalty is rewarded. Therefore, you prioritize adaptability over perfection. Perfection anchors you to a single environment. Adaptability allows movement before storms arrive. You begin saying no without lengthy justification. Explanations shrink to simple boundaries. Energy is allocated with deliberate intention. You reserve margin for thinking, not only executing. Thinking creates leverage beyond immediate productivity. Leverage shifts outcomes without proportional effort. You replace constant motion with intentional direction. Work becomes tool, not identity. Identity expands beyond organizational function. Relationships regain presence and depth. Conversation replaces constant internal calculation. Sleep becomes restorative instead of strategic. Mornings feel anticipatory rather than defensive. The system still runs, even without constant vigilance. You were never the sole pillar after all. You were simply the most willing one. Willingness without boundaries invites overuse. Boundaries convert willingness into choice. And choice is the foundation of real power. Please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment the next video topic in the comments.